Picture this. You're in a room full of noise, opinions flying, accusations echoing, misunderstandings tightening round you like a noose, and there you are, silent. Not because you don't have something to say, but because you've learned that not every fire needs your breath to burn out. You know what I mean, right? Tell me this doesn't sound familiar. We've all been there. That primal, human urge to set the record straight, to defend our honor, to prove we're not the person they're making us out to be. But here's the kicker, the plot twist that changed everything for me. What if I told you that in that moment, the most powerful thing you can do is absolutely nothing? That the ultimate act of strength isn't a roar, but a profound, deliberate, and unbreakable silence. Now, I want you to picture this. Imagine your mind is a pristine, clear, mountain lake, still, calm, reflecting the sky. Now, someone comes along and throws a huge rock into the center of it. Splash. What happens? The water reacts, right? It thrashes, it churns, it gets all muddy and chaotic. That's your overthinking. That's your emotional reaction. But what if the lake didn't react? What if the rock just sank? The surface would settle almost instantly. The clarity would return. The lake remains powerful and deep, completely unaffected by the temporary disturbance. That, my friends, is the power we're talking about today. That is the essence of true resilience. This isn't about being a doormat. This isn't passive. This is active. This is strategic. In a world that is constantly screaming for your attention, for your reaction, for your energy, silence is no longer just the absence of noise. It's a strategy. It's your most sophisticated form of energy protection. Let me tell you a story about my friend. Let's call him Adam. Adam was the kind of guy who had his life together. Great job, solid time management, big on personal growth. Then, out of nowhere, a rumor started at his office, a nasty, completely fabricated lie, spread by a jealous colleague. It was designed to undermine him, to make him look incompetent. And Adam, he felt it. The stress was immense. The first instinct, the human instinct, to fight back, to call a meeting, to send a company-wide email, to prove his innocence. He was drafting it in his head, losing sleep, his productivity tanking. The overthinking was a constant loop. But then, he remembered a piece of Stoic philosophy. Marcus Aurelius, the Roman emperor, once wrote, "If it is not true, do not say it. If it is not right, do not do it." And Adam made a choice, a radical choice. He chose silence, not the silence of fear, the silence of immense strength. He went to work. He did his job with more integrity and focus than ever. He didn't avoid the colleague. He just didn't engage with the drama. He was polite, professional, and utterly silent on the topic. He was practicing a masterclass in emotional regulation. You'll never guess what happened next. Weeks went by. The lie, with no fuel, no reaction to keep it alive, started to sound hollow. People began to see the inconsistency. And then, the plot thickens. The colleague, frustrated that his bait wasn't taken, tried to escalate with another, even bigger lie. And this time, he slipped up. The truth came spilling out, exposing his own web of manipulations. Adam never said a word in his own defense, but his silence, his unwavering calm, it spoke volumes. His self-worth wasn't tied to their gossip. His dignity remained completely intact. That, right there, is resilience in action. That's burnout prevention. He didn't burn himself out fighting a shadow. He conserved his energy and let the truth reveal itself. Wild, isn't it? This is what I call the art of the unsaid. It's the first pillar of this quiet power. When you're lied about, your chase for clarity often just creates more chaos. Because the people spreading lies, they're not looking for truth. They're looking for a reaction. They want to see you flinch. And the more you explain, the weaker you appear. So, you trust the long game. You anchor yourself in your values. You let your actions, not your arguments, do the talking. This is the foundation of authenticity. Now, let's talk about a deeper cut. Betrayal. This one shifts the ground beneath your feet. It comes from someone you let inside the fortress. A friend, a partner. And the pain, it's a different kind of pain. It makes you want to scream. Why? How could you? Do you even realize what you've done? But here's the brutal truth I had to learn the hard way. People who betray you have already justified it in their minds. They either don't see what they've done, or worse, they do, and they simply don't care. And the more you plead for closure, the more you reopen your own wound. You see, betrayal is a friction. And the ancient Stoic Seneca had a perspective on this. He said, "A gem cannot be polished without friction, nor a man perfected without trials." Betrayal is that brutal friction. It stings, it cuts, but it clarifies. It separates what's real from what was just convenient. It forces you to confront one hard truth. Not everyone you love is meant to stay in your life. And your silence, your quiet, dignified exit, that is your final gift to yourself. It's the ultimate act of boundary setting. You are not slamming a door in rage. You are simply closing a gate that they chose to disrespect. And that silence, it echoes. It forces them to sit in the absence of your energy, your love, your presence. That is a punishment far greater than any argument. But wait, there's more. Let's get into the day-to-day stuff. The insults, the provocations, the people who just seem to live to get a rise out of you. Think about it. An insult is cheap. It's the currency of the weak. When someone throws a verbal jab your way, whether it's a sarcastic comment or a passive-aggressive dig, they're not trying to speak truth. They're fishing. They're casting a line, hoping to hook your reaction. Because your reaction is their validation. The moment you snap back, you've handed them the controls. You've told them, "You have the power to disrupt my peace." Marcus Aurelius gave us the blueprint here, too. He said, "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Listen to that again. When you are provoked, they're inviting you down to their level, hoping you'll abandon your dignity and meet them in the mud. But you don't live in the mud. A person grounded in Stoic philosophy doesn't flinch. They just observe, calm, still, unbothered. This is a practice in mindfulness. It's being so present in your own center that their external noise just fades into the background. Your stillness becomes a message louder than any comeback. You don't control me. Nothing frustrates an insulter more than being ignored. It completely disarms them. And this leads us to one of the most toxic patterns out there, the professional victim. You know the type, right? These people don't want resolution. They want an audience. They don't want to solve problems. They want to control the narrative, and their favorite tactic, play the victim. They rewrite history. They shed tears. They twist facts, and suddenly you find yourself cast as the villain, and if you step in to defend yourself with logic and facts, it backfires every single time. Because while you're speaking facts, they're playing emotions. And in the court of public opinion, Emotion often wins when reason argues too long. The only winning move, you guessed it, silence. Don't defend. Don't counteraccuse. Just disengage. Stay emotionally detached. This is a master level of emotional intelligence. You observe. You don't absorb. Let them drown in the chaos they created. Trust me. Patterns don't lie. Eventually, the mask always slips. Your silence is how you bring down the curtain on their performance. Now, here's a silent killer, one that erodes your soul slowly, being taken for granted. This isn't a dramatic betrayal. It's a quiet, creeping indifference. You're the one who always calls. You're the one who always remembers. You're the one who gives and gives and gives. And in return, you get silence, disinterest, and the instinct is to try harder, right? To prove your worth. But here's the painful paradox. The more you try to prove your worth, the less they see it. People don't value what's always available. They value what they're afraid to lose. So what's the move? It's not a conversation. It's not a confrontation. It's a quiet, powerful act of self-care. You stop. You pull back your energy. No speeches. No arguments. You simply create space. And in that space, your absence starts to speak. It echoes. The people who truly value you will rush to fill that silence. They'll reach out. They will ask if you're okay. And the ones who didn't, they'll just disappear. And that right there is your answer. That is confidence building in its purest form. Realizing your value isn't determined by their attention. But here's where the story gets really good. What happens after you've held your silence? After you've walked away from the lies? The betrayal, the provocation. What happens when they finally realize what they've lost? There comes a moment, and it always comes, when the silence they once overlooked becomes deafening. They start to remember your value. They feel the void where your presence used to be. And they come back. Apologies, promises, regret. And this, my friends, is the final test. Your inner peace is now your most prized possession. And the wisdom you've gained whispers a crucial question. Do you really want to let someone back in who only values you once you're gone? The Stoic Epictetus said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." Self-mastery in this moment means you don't return to places that broke you. You don't lower your standards to comfort their guilt. You don't explain your silence. You let it speak for you. You let your continued peace be the final, unanswerable statement. You don't need to yell to be heard. You don't need to fight to win. In a world addicted to noise, your silence is radical. It's the language of those who no longer need external validation. When you fall silent, you take back your power. You step out of the trap. You let time, truth, and karma finish the sentence you chose not to write. This is the heart of positive psychology and habit formation, rewiring your instincts from reaction to grounded stillness. So, the next time you feel that heat rise in your chest, pause. Take a breath. Remember the clear mountain lake, and ask yourself, does this deserve my energy? Does this person deserve a piece of my peace? If this spoke to you, share it with someone who needs peace more than proof. Save it. Rewatch it on the days your silence wants to break. Real power doesn't shout. It just watches and wins.